Hello, folks. Welcome to Holding On with Holder, where I talk to interesting people about interesting topics. My name is Steve Holder, and I am your host. My guest today is May Alirad. She's a social worker, author, and CEO. Welcome, May.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me, Steve.
Well, it's my pleasure. So, tell us a little bit about your background. Who are you?
Okay, so I am a school social worker and I have been for the past 14 years. However, the reason why we're here is for another reason, not really related to my social work degree. And so at the age of 6 or 7, that was around first grade, I was sexually assaulted by another little child. And from there, what happened was I then started sexually assaulting other children. And that went on for many years until I think high school. So that's when it stopped. And then after that, in my adult life, I was then again reintroduced to sexual assault, and I was sexually assaulted multiple times in my adulthood by various different people in my life. Some of those people I was in a relationship with. Some of them were people that I just knew, like right now, like dating. Some other people was another individual, was somebody from my past that I knew from high school, and that he raped me. And so it's really from the beginning of when I was 6 or 7 until now. I have the last time it happened was at the age of 32. So I have a 25-year history of being sexually assaulted. And then it wasn't until September of 2020, September 13th of 2020, that I got on this path that I would call my self-actualization journey. And so that was when I call it my God moment, my come to Jesus moment. And I had always been saved. But at this particular time in my life, at that particular day, one of my friends and we were praying, and it was like she helped pray me out of that spirit of shame, guilt, condemnation, embarrassment, everything that was associated with being a victim of sexual assault. And I just remember saying to God at that moment in the car on September 13th, 2020, just a few short months ago, I said, "Yes, Lord, because of the freedom that you have allowed me to feel at this very moment in my life, I am going to do everything in my power to help as many survivors, as many victims get to this point of freedom." And that's when I started my business, DLAU Coaching. And I have been trying to write this book for 10 years. So, but finally, with my being released from, with God about everything about my past, when I started writing it again on February 2nd. And after 3 weeks, the first draft was done. And shortly after that, I was already building a lot of momentum, with my book. And I have already since then been on many, many podcasts, 30, I think, different podcasts or radios, right now internationally, like nationally through the States. I know I'm in Chicago and you're in a different state right now, but national interest, but also international. Ireland, the UK, the Caribbeans, the UAE, Canada, I mean, Africa. I mean, it's just amazing where the Lord is taking this. And I'm just amazed. And I know you're a believer too. That's why I was like, that's what I feel. I mean, but Steve, I talk about September 13th, whether you're a heathen, believer, or whatever. I talk about that date because it's my story. And you asked me to be your guest. So I get to share my story. But yeah, I'm just so amazed at just God being able to use me. I'm just beyond words, and today is the first day of my free book launch. That's why I was like, Steve, I want today I want your viewers, I want your listeners to get it. The electronic copy, the Kindle or ebook, is free today on Amazon. After that, it's going to be $7.99.
Okay, good deal. So you mentioned multiple sexual assaults. Are we talking about rape or something else?
Most of them were rape, yes. As
Okay,
an adult, they were rape, yes.
yeah. And you say sometimes it was people that you knew and sometimes it were strangers?
No, everybody was people that I knew,
Oh,
but
really?
they weren't in a relationship. Like it wasn't my
Yeah,
boyfriend, or it was either somebody that I was in a relationship with or somebody that I was dating or just knew, but every one of my assault in during my lifetime of 25 years have been with people that I knew.
wow. So did you notify the police each time?
No,
No?
I didn't even know I was raped.
I I don't understand that. I'm sorry, I don't understand.
I know it's really difficult to understand, but I want you to bear with me. I'm gonna try to represent all of the victims and survivors out there with my voice right now. So Steve, the reason why so many survivors, so many rape victims stay with their rapist, with their predator, is because oftentimes they don't want to make the classification that this person raped them. It's a sense of not giving it that name. Okay, I'm going to try to really explain it as hard as I can.
Okay,
But what happens is that you don't call it that. You're like, I didn't want to do it, but he couldn't have raped me because this is a person that cares about me. This is a person that loves me. This is a person that likes me, right? Like what just happened couldn't have been this violent, vicious thing, called rape, right? In addition, the media does a really poor job of portraying everyday rape situations, everyday sexual assault, because sexual assault in the media is looked at as behind the garbage can. You get knocked out or gun pointed, right, to your head to be raped. That's not what happened to me. So in my mind, I said, I didn't get raped because I'd never been left naked behind a garbage can. Actually, some of the times I was raped, I was in very nice hotels. So I didn't classify that as rape. So this is a lot of what victims, have to really come to grasp with, comes to terms with. I mean, I remember one time I was talking to a friend about what happened, and he told me that he said, May, do you understand that you were raped? And I said, no, that's not what happened. I mean, I told him I didn't want to have sex. And he knew I didn't want to have sex, but he's my boyfriend. He wouldn't rape me. It was such a big word for me. And I was like, I didn't look at myself as that victim, like a rape victim, and I don't want to say it's pride. I think it's just like not wanting to accept it, not wanting to accept the truth of what happened. And so a lot of it was me not wanting to accept it. Another part was me disassociating. So oftentimes I write this in my book. I have a chapter called Disassociative Coping Strategies. And one of my disassociative coping strategies is to disassociate. That means my mind is somewhere else while my body is here. I'm not here getting raped right now. Like I'm somewhere else. I'm in a different place in my mind. And compartmentalizing, right? Like, oh, that happened to the body, but nope, not to me, not to the mind. So being able to compartmentalize, disassociating, and some people use drugs, some people use alcohol, some people gamble, all those different vices. Now, none of those vices ever attracted me, so I never did any of those vices, but my vices were just as bad. I never wanted to face any of my problems, and the problems just kept going on. So that's why I have a chapter on destructive coping.
yeah. So help me, I'm still a little bit fuzzy. So each of these times you said you didn't want to have sex, right?
So the majority of the time, there was the understanding that I didn't want to have sex. Yes. I mean, before we were even whatever, it was, I don't want to have sex.
Yeah,
Now, there were some times where we didn't have that conversation yet because it was just all happening so fast,
yeah.
but it wasn't a, okay, put your penis inside me moment either. It was not bad. So, yeah, guys are tricky.
Well, yeah, I agree. But also sometimes men don't understand.
Yeah.
Now, for example, like these times, you say you did not give permission, but did you resist? I mean, I'm just trying to understand.
Yeah, that's a really great question. And so I want to redirect that question a little bit to a point that I make in my book because it's something called the freeze response for victims. Okay. So, you've heard of the flight and the fight response, like how your body reacts, like that adrenaline rush, you throw up, you fight, or you just run, you flight.
Yeah.
But there's a response that is not very well known, and that response is called the freeze response. And what the freeze response is, I just learned about it a few short months ago. But what the freeze response is that your brain, your old brain, you call it, the one that controls your breathing, the one that controls your blood flow, right? Your amygdala, like your old brain, right? What happens is when people are in dangerous situations, in order to preserve life, you the brain stops your function, your mobility. That's resisting, that's anything. Okay, and let me explain. Let me give you an example to help the listeners kind of connect with this. So we are in the safari, and there is a lion chasing after a gazelle. Lion chasing the gazelle. Lion gets the gazelle. Gazelle is on the floor. Okay, lion, this is the gazelle's head. Lion gets the gazelle now. The gazelle isn't dead though. The gazelle plays dead so that the lion would think that it's dead. When the lion, that split second, that lion looks away to see something, the gazelle runs off. The lion's here, the gazelle is off, trotting away. Your body, because we are innately animals, right? Your body, your brain does that exact same response. Your body stops you, in order to preserve your life, because the body is thinking, if I fight more, if I do more, this person could kill me. I could be dead. So instead of the chance of being dead, you just don't fight. Some people fight and some people don't, but it doesn't matter whether they fight or not. What matters is, did they want it or not? So I'm going to give you an example. So I haven't been a Christian all my life. Although I've been a Christian, I haven't been a good Christian all my life. Okay, whoever has never sinned, cast the first stone. So I was with my boyfriend, and he's like giving me a massage. This is a true real life situation. He's giving me a massage, and at this time I'm not wearing any clothes. All right, but we have a conversation. I'm going to give you just a clear cut example, okay? Because the other ones may be more difficult, okay? But this one, we have a conversation, not there when we're butt naked, but in life in general. We're talking. I said, hey, you know what? I want to wait until marriage. I don't want to have sex. I'm practicing celibacy, okay? This is a conversation that I had with this one particular boyfriend of mine. So he's like, okay, okay. So we're messing around. Okay, I'm turned looking this way, another way. He's back here, rubbing my back. The next thing I know, his penis is inside me. I run into the bathroom crying, sit on the bathroom floor crying for about 5-10 minutes. Okay. Then I come out, and he has no regard for what he just did. Now I want to ask you, was that rape?
I would say so, yeah.
It is. Yes. But guess what happened? That was the first time we ever had sex. We had sex again, but that was the first time we had sex, he raped me. And then I was talking to my friend and saying, I just don't trust this guy. I don't know. I just don't, I feel something. He's like, May, he raped you. I said, no, 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 that's not what happened. But we had consensual sex after that. But it doesn't negate the first time our sexual encounter was rape. It does not negate that. But in my mind, I was thinking, well, he just did it one time. He just went against my will that one time. And you when I was writing my book, I had to do some research about why we stayed because I didn't know why we stayed. And in my book, some of the reasons why people stay with their abusers is because of this investment that they already have, right? I already invested my time. I already invested my energy. I already invested my money, my finances, right? So it's like if you say that this person raped you, if you file a police report, then it's like you're throwing that investment away. And then you try to think of, well, yeah, he did this one bad thing, but he's done so many other great things. So it's like now you're trying to weigh it. Listen, Steve, unless you have been sexually assaulted, and I am really trying my best to help all of our viewers and all of our listeners, unless you have been sexually assaulted at least once in your life, I'm going to try my best to explain it, but you won't ever understand because it never happened to you. You will never understand. And I can't explain it to you to help you understand as much as I have already explained. So yes, it's not clear cut like what many people think who have never been sexually assaulted. There's many layers. Being a victim of sexual assault is like an onion. You're peeling away layers. Why do you stay? Maybe you stay because you have low self-esteem. That could be one of the layers of the reason why you stay. Why did you not call the police? Why didn't you report it? Well, maybe because you felt like nobody would believe you. Maybe the police will ask you, well, did you fight? Did you resist? Then now it's the victim blaming. It's the victim
But
shaming.
don't you understand why they would ask that question? I mean, isn't that a logical question? Am I wrong?
Well, I think the better question would ask is to ask the rapist, why did they rape this girl? Or why did they rape this person?
I understand.
Yeah, I think it's okay to ask what happened, but I don't think it's not logical for me to ask why did you resist or not. Like that's not a logical question for me because of the freeze response. It doesn't matter whether you resisted or not. That it doesn't matter. Okay, what matters is what happened. And the question, instead of directed towards the victim, what were you wearing? Were you drunk? Were you high? Was your skirt too short? Were you asking for it? Like I'm pointing at myself as the victim, right? This is what we get from the police. Were you? No, absolutely not. The question is, why did you rape her? Why did you rape him? Why did you rape this person? What were you drunk? Were you high? What made you rape this person? So we got to change this, Steve. We are in a rape culture, a victim blaming rape culture that we think it's normal, not to question the rapist. And that is not okay. That's not normal. And I'm going to drop you some statistics, okay? We have 100 people lined up behind me. Okay, statistically, out of 100 people, 2 to 3 people out of that 100 will be lying about being raped, which for the record, no one should be lying about anyone else, that anyone raped them. It ruins people's lives. Do not do that. I know someone personally who was in the military. Okay, he 15 years in the military, 5 more years. This brother would have had retired with military veteran status. Okay, 20 years, 15 years in the military. This young lady lied on him, said that he raped her. Okay, she took a rape kit at the hospital, and it was found out that it wasn't even his semen or sperm. And then she had to change it and said he tried to rape her. Well, how do you How do you judge that someone tried to rape you? Like, what happened? Like, well, was she resisting? Like, don't make me go into it. Please don't make me go into it. But what makes me so upset is that this person who fabricated a story about this other person is walking freely with their lives. Well, this person is a registered sex offender every single year, has to register as a sex offender every single year, has to tell everybody about what happened that wasn't even true. So let me tell you something. I see things on both sides. As a social worker, that is what I'm able to do. Okay. As a victim, also, I say this: it's never okay to rape anyone. It's never okay to rape anyone. And every time you try to not rape, every time you try to put your penis somewhere or an object somewhere in someone, you need to ask for their permission every single time. There's a video that says, sex is as easy as drinking tea. When you offer tea to someone, okay, do they have the ability to consent? Consent is like tea. I think that's what the video is called on YouTube. Does this person have the ability to consent? If this person is high, drunk, well, obviously they're not going to be able to consent to having tea, right? So if you go ahead, that means you're raping them, right? If the person consented at first, says, okay, yeah, I want some tea. But then you make the tea, you boil the, then you come back and they say, oh, I don't want any tea anymore. Don't force the tea down their throat. They said they don't want it anymore. It's really as easy as tea. You have to ask, do you want tea?
Okay, let me say this,
Yeah.
keeping with the tea analogy, if somebody forced tea down my throat and I didn't want it, I would not go back to their house the next time for tea or anything else. Do you see what I'm saying? That's the part I don't understand.
Mhm. And Steve, I know it's going to be very difficult for you to understand, because I'm going to assume you've never been sexually assaulted,
No,
that you never been raped before in your life, right? Okay. So it's going to be very hard for you and any viewers out there to understand this, okay? Because the point of the whole matter is, you don't know what's going in that person's mind that would make them want to go back. Okay, you don't know what's going on. I went back because I don't have good self-esteem about myself. I went back because I was like, okay, they made me drink tea, but at least they like me. Okay? That's why I went back, because I want to be liked, because I want to be chosen. I'm not talking about anybody else. I'm talking about May Saengpraseuth Alirad. Okay, I went back for tea that I did not ask for, because I thought they were cool, because they liked me, and, I want to settle down and have a family, all these different reasons. All these different reasons, Steve. I just gave you a few. It's probably a lot more reasons, but anyone that's never been sexually assaulted, there's, I can't, I don't know. I think you can just try to understand, and I think you can just try to sympathize or empathize, but you just can't ever,
yeah.
unless it's happened to you.
Do you think it's a difference between the way men think and the way women think? And do you think it's like something that we almost impossibly we can't come together on? I mean, I
Well,
don't
see,
think any man that I've ever met would say I want to rape a woman, or I have,
yeah,
you know?
yeah, Steve, it's not about the sexual act. Okay, so I want to move away from the sexual act. It's about control. It's about power and control over another person. No, I think it's more than I stuck my penis in your mouth, I stuck my penis in your anus, or I stuck my penis in your vagina. I think it's more than that. It's really, I think, about power and control. That's what it is. That I have dominion over you, that I'm lording over you, that I want to have sex, and I don't care whether you want it or not, but I want it, because I'm stronger than you, because I'm bigger than you, because I'm whatever. I'm going to get what I want. Yeah, but I want to make it clear, men are not the only one that are rapists. Like men are not the only one that are the predators or the people that, sexually assault. There are some women out there. We can't, we can't just man bash, but the overwhelming majority are men that sexually assault women, right? Also, men can also be victims as well.
Yeah.
Men, women, children, more oftentimes it is women and children, right? Because they're smaller, because they're weaker, because they have less power, they're little, like typically, right? Women are not as strong as men. Even though we're going through, something right now in our country where um, uh, transgender women want to compete in, biological women's sports, and then they literally like crush these women. They really hurt them, put them in critical conditions, like in MMA, because physiologically men are stronger than women. It's, I mean, I'm sorry. If you are born a man, like you should not be able to compete in a woman's sport. Like that's not okay. I'm sorry. Your physique is just different. You're like 7, 8 feet. This is like a 5 feet person. Like, of course you're gonna crush her, and so I yeah, I have very, very many different thoughts about different things. But back to this, like that, it happens to everyone, and I don't want to just say it's just men doing it to women. It could be vice versa. It could be, somebody told me one of a guy that she dated was raped by um, this by his babysitter and the babysitter's daughter, that they were taking turns with him. Like, obviously, there are women there, and obviously, like, he was like erected or whatever. And, they were just taking turns with him. Like, because his penis was erected, like, does that mean they didn't rape him? I mean, like, and so that's what this is like kind of what we're getting at. Like, well, his penis was erected, so they couldn't have raped him. Like, we can't think like that. No, because physiologically, like, I don't know, I've never been a man a day in my life, but if you see attractive women or you see nakedness of some sort and you're a straight man, like you would be aroused by that, but yeah, they raped him, and he struggled so many years after that rape situation, about having sex and not wanting to have sex with women, and I don't know, some people may ask him, well, how did that even happen? How was your penis erected? Like, it's like, but that's not the point. Steve, that's what I'm trying to say. It's not the point whether the person fights back or not. It's not the point whether the penis was erected or not. The point was, it wasn't something that was welcomed, but yet the thoughts and the opinions, like, first of all, it wasn't asked, right? It's kind of like you just make tea and don't even ask if the person wants it. And so rape is kind of like you make tea and then you make that person drink it without even asking them if they want tea. That's rape. So you need to ask them, hey, do you want tea right now? So
Yeah. So you mentioned guilt. So you felt guilty about these things?
yes, yes.
Can you tell me why you felt guilty if you didn't feel, if you didn't want it or consent? I mean, do you understand that? I'm not sure I
Well,
do.
the first time it happened to me at the age of 6 or 7, the first time that it happened to me, I believed that it was my fault. I believed it was my fault because the person who sexually assaulted me by sticking his hand down my pants, he had a cognitive disability. He was another child, but he had a cognitive disability. And because I am in my right mind, I felt that it was my fault that he did that. I felt that it was my fault that I put myself in that situation, that I sat next to him on the church bus. Why did I sit next to him? I could have sat with anyone and I wouldn't have gotten sexually assaulted. And this is what I'm thinking at 6, 7 years old,
Yeah.
that it's my fault. And I don't tell anyone. So that's where the guilt first started. You know,
It's not unusual for kids to think it's their fault anytime they're abused in any way. So, yeah, I get that.
yeah, yeah.
Uh,
And then that just carries on, Steve. Like, I think all of it, like, that is associated, the guilt, shame, embarrassment, it's like you get one thing, but you don't just get that one thing, you get the whole package. It's like you get one gift, one terrible gift, and it's so many different things in that gift box. And
yeah.
that's what sexual assault is, this one terrible gift.
So, what advice would you like to give to people that maybe think they've been sexually assaulted and never realized it? What advice would you give to them?
Yeah, I would definitely recommend talking to someone about it. And it doesn't have to be a therapist. I do recommend therapists because this is what they do. And there are free services available. But if you're not ready to speak with someone professional yet, definitely just a trusted family member or friend will do. Just trying to get that out. Something else is writing. I'm a firm believer of artwork, writing, drawing, painting, right? Writing a poem, something to really get all of those built up feelings out somewhere. So definitely getting it out. And then also, that I think another thing I want to say is that it's not your fault.
Yeah.
Like, even if you feel like it's your fault, and even if the whole world, feels makes you believe it's your fault, it's not. It's not your fault. It's never the victim's fault. And also that you're not alone. And that the thing, Steve, about being a victim is that it's very lonely. I lived with this for 30 years. It's lonely. If there was ever anything lonely, it's definitely being a victim of sexual assault. But I never tried anything else. I never tried drugs or alcohol or anything, so I don't know. It might have their own loneliness path, but I can't speak about that. But as a victim of sexual assault, it's lonely because you can't tell anyone. You can't talk to anyone about it because you don't want them to look at you differently. And that's the thing. It's such a secret sin.
There's a stigma to it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. A huge, huge stigma because people are going to ask, well, did you fight back?
Yeah.
Did you resist? And these questions make you now want to blame yourself. See, Steve, you asking me about the guilt. That's where the guilt comes from. When you ask people, did you resist? And they didn't. Well, then it's my fault. I'm guilty. I I I asked for this then because I should have punched him. I should have kicked him or something. I should have scratched his face up. But because I didn't, it's my fault. So that's why that question's not okay. Because it makes victims want to blame themselves for not doing more.
Legally, isn't that the way it is though? If you're, in order to prosecute, doesn't, you have to, don't they just say that she didn't resist? I mean, legally, is that the loophole there? For
Oh, well,
reasons
Steve,
some people don't get, put away?
yeah, I can't answer that question because I have never legally took any actions
Yeah.
or known anyone of the people that I know that have been sexually assaulted taken any actions. So I really am ignorant on that fact and what evidence needs to be had or what I have no idea. I have no idea.
Yeah.
So yeah, yeah, you guys out there listening, I'm sorry I can't be much help.
Yeah.
I don't
Well, you
know.
actually have given us a lot of education, because the things that you're saying are definitely not the way a lot of men have been taught to think, you know. Uh, and when I recall something that I used to be in sales, and our sales manager used to say that there's two or three no's in everybody, and you have to get past those no's to get to yes to make the sale. And that's kind of the way a lot of guys are taught to pursue women. You understand what I'm saying? I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying that's the way a lot of guys look at it.
Yeah, that's very interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's probably definitely a guy thing
Yeah.
because I don't know, I can't, understand that. But yeah, I mean, the persistence, the persistence of it and all of that. And I don't I don't man hate or man bash or anything. I'm married. I'm happily married to my husband. We have a beautiful 2-year-old daughter. So although all of these things happened to me, it didn't make me stop wanting to have a family or stop, so I don't hate men, but there are some people out there that do,
Yeah.
and I can understand why.
Yeah, I can understand it too. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And maybe they switch on their sexual preference because
Yeah.
of what has happened to them. But
So
um
your book is about how you got through this, right? How you
so
learned
the
to cope with it.
so the book is about just my journey of the different things that I had to endure and encounter, like losing my voice, having low self-esteem, setting boundaries. These are some of the chapters. So it really talks about, it gives you, every chapter gives you insight on what I did and maybe what I did wrong or how I felt about different things. And then also it gives you hope in every chapter about how to overcome if you too are in that stage
Yeah.
of losing your voice, you're in that stage of having low self-esteem. And then also the book has about 30, 40 different reflections for the reader, so that it's not just a book, it's more of a workbook. I think it's more of an interactive workbook, and that it's actually like me talking to you, like how we're talking right now, Steve. Like I'm talking to the reader like that. And I would love to read an excerpt if that's okay for
Sure, go
your
right
listeners.
ahead. Please do.
Okay, great. So, this is the epilogue. So, one of the things that I tell all the listeners is please read the prologue and the epilogue, because the prologue at the beginning before chapter 1 really sets the stage
Yeah, I
of.
can imagine why people don't read those sometimes. Sometimes, like you say, it sets the whole stage.
Yes,
Yeah,
right. So I want to encourage you, please read that. It
yeah,
really will set the stage for
yeah.
the rest of the book. Okay, so this is the epilogue. This is the end of the book. I am so elated that this book found its way in your hands. It was written for you to read at this very moment in your life. It came to you when you are ready to receive the content inside. I hope this book has provided you with the skills you need to be a better parent, partner, sibling, child, or person. I hope it has also given you a sense of connectedness. You are not the only one who have gone through what you have, and you are not alone. Therefore, if you haven't already done so, give yourself permission to start talking about it with someone. It could be a therapist, family member, or close friend. I hope this book has empowered you to find the voice that was taken from you and begin to take control of your life. I saw it written that God can turn your ashes into beauty. This is so powerful in my healing journey in two ways. First, I realized that all the ugly things in my life that I had been trying to hide or pretend weren't there, God could turn it into something beautiful. For me, this book and my business are the beautiful things that God created from all the ugly associated with being assaulted. Then my mentor, after reviewing my book, said, "It's like the phoenix rising from the ashes." I didn't know what that meant until I looked it up. The phoenix is a mythical bird that at the end of its life goes back to its nest to die, being consumed by fire. But then a new phoenix is born from the ashes of the old one. And like the bird, you have to rise from your old ways and how you used to do things, essentially dying to burn your connections to the past. But from those ashes, you can rise again into a new, more powerful being. That is what you are doing. You are confronting your past, burning it, not letting it control you anymore, and rising again to be a new and better you. You are a phoenix soaring high above your ashes and who you used to be. You are stronger, braver, and wiser than you were. So fly high in your newfound strength, courage, and wisdom today.
Like that.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And you know what, Steve? I just want to say this one last thing, that my book, Was I Assaulted? My Guide to Healing as a Survivor, I think would be good for anyone that is trying to understand
Yeah.
what in the world is going up there, sister or brother, right? I think I'm just so raw, real, transparent, unapologetically honest. I don't leave any details out. And I'm just very transparent because I want to let people know that what they're going through, they're not alone.
Yeah. So what's the name of the book again?
The name of the book is called Was I Assaulted? My Guide to Healing as a Survivor. And you can find it today, right now on Amazon. It's $7.99, but for the next 3 days, it's going to be free. The ebook will be free on Amazon. Please go and download it. And if you loved it, if it changed your life, please write a review. I would really appreciate it. I really, like I think we were saying earlier, the message has already gone worldwide. This is a worldwide movement that sexual assault shouldn't just be for this month, the month of April. Sexual assault should be 365, like every day, bringing awareness, education, and prevention.
Now, do you have a website?
Yes, I do have a website, and my website is www.delaocoaching.com. So it's www.delaocoaching.com. And I have the book on there, but also I have my calendar of events and reviews of the book. So it's still in the beginning stages, so please give me some grace, but there are some things up there. But so as of right now, please just go on Amazon and purchase it. It has a purple cover, okay, and on the cover it looks like broken pottery, and there's some gold mending in ingraining in there. And so that is the Japanese way of repairing broken pottery called kintsugi, which the bowl may have been $10 before and that it's broken. The art is that you would put the bowl together, but you would inline it in gold. And so a $10 bowl of pottery now is worth $100, $200. So that's really what I want to get out, this message that although you feel broken, that you can get to a place of healing and that you're going to be so much better than what you were.
Okay, great. May, thank you so much for coming on my show and explaining these things. And it's a message that needs to be taught, obviously, not just for women, but for men, because it's obvious that men and women do not think alike. And sometimes that can lead to huge problems. So
Yeah.
thank you for explaining it, and thank you for being my guest.
Yes, thank you so much for having me.
Well, you're welcome. Folks, thanks for tuning in to Holding On with Holder. Please subscribe to my channel and feel free to share this video all over social media. Be sure to buy the book, Was I Assaulted? Thank you again, May, for being my guest, and you have yourself a wonderful rest of the day.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.